The final lesson Mars leaves behind. Mars does not end with mystery. It ends with clarity. After everything it has shown us, one lesson remains, stripped of speculation and romance. That lesson is not hidden in ancient rivers or buried beneath dust. It is written plainly across the planet's stillness. Mars shows us what happens when a system loses the ability to protect itself and renew itself at the same time, and what follows when nothing intervenes. To understand why this lesson matters now, we have to step back from individual events. Storms, magnetic shields, winters, volcanic eras, atmospheric loss. Each of these is often treated as a separate chapter, a standalone explanation for decline. But Mars is not a collection of disconnected failures. Each story points to the same conclusion. Mars did not fail because it lacked potential. It failed because it lost the foundations that made correction possible. In its early history, Mars had everything needed to endure. Energy flowed through its interior. Water moved across its surface. The planet changed, reacted, adjusted. It experienced stress and responded to it. It had time, vast amounts of it. But endurance is not built on resources alone. It is built on systems that preserve balance under pressure. Mars lost those systems one by one, quietly and permanently. What followed was not chaos. It was inevitability. Once renewal stopped, decline no longer required mistakes. It only required continuation. Mars became a planet where time enforced outcome instead of opportunity. Every year that passed did not bring healing. It locked in loss. The future stopped being something that could differ meaningfully from the present. This is the final lesson Mars offers. Survival is not about reaching new places or achieving peak performance. It is about sustaining the foundations that make recovery possible. Without those foundations, progress becomes irrelevant. Advancement only accelerates exhaustion. Growth only hastens collapse. Mars does not warn us with destruction. It warns us with completion. A finished story written across a world that can no longer change direction. That is why Mars matters more now than ever. It shows us the end state of neglect made permanent. Mars's final lesson becomes clearer when we trace how small losses compounded into permanence. No single moment ended the planet's story. No dramatic collapse marked the transition. The story ended when the ability to recover quietly disappeared. Everything after that was just time following orders. Protection faded first. Without a magnetic field, the atmosphere thinned. Without atmosphere, climate weakened. Without climate, water vanished. Without water, chemistry simplified. Each loss reduced the range of possible responses. Mars did not collapse. It narrowed. This narrowing is the detail most often missed. Survival depends on options. The more options a system has, the more stress it can absorb. Mars lost options one by one until none remained. At that point, the future became fixed, not because the planet stopped changing, but because it could no longer change meaningfully. What makes this lesson uncomfortable is how ordinary the process was. No rare catastrophe, no cosmic accident, just known physics applied without interruption. Mars followed the rules perfectly, and the rules were unforgiving. Nothing went wrong suddenly. Everything went wrong slowly. This reframes how we think about planetary health. It is not about avoiding disaster. It is about maintaining resilience long enough to correct mistakes. Mars shows what happens when correction is no longer possible. When feedback disappears, even correct actions arrive too late to matter. The planet did not run out of time. It ran out of flexibility. And once flexibility was gone, time became irrelevant. Mars's story ends not with mystery, but with instruction. Endurance requires renewal. Protection must be continuous. And once foundational systems fail, no amount of effort can reverse the outcome. There is no hero moment at the end. No late intervention that changes direction. The ending is quiet because it is already decided. The conflict embedded in Mars's final lesson is how easy it is to believe recovery will always be possible later. Mars looked stable long after it had lost the ability to heal. That illusion delayed urgency until urgency no longer mattered. By the time decline became undeniable, the mechanisms that could have responded were already gone. Mars did not send warnings in dramatic form. There were no alarms, no sudden collapse. Systems weakened quietly, beneath thresholds most observers would have missed. From the outside, the planet appeared changed but intact. Internally, it was already finished. This exposes a dangerous assumption, that resilience is automatic. That time itself will allow correction. Mars proved the opposite. Time only helps if systems remain capable of response. Once response is gone, time accelerates loss instead of preventing it. The conflict sharpens when this lesson is applied beyond Mars. Many systems fail not because of immediate shocks, but because their ability to adapt erodes unnoticed. They continue functioning under stress until they suddenly cannot. Collapse appears sudden only because recovery disappeared earlier. Mars teaches that prevention must happen before failure feels urgent. Waiting for obvious danger is waiting too long. By the time collapse is visible, the outcome may already be locked in. Stability at the surface can hide exhaustion underneath. The planet's silence is not passive. It is a result of decisions made by physics long before consequences became clear. Mars did not choose decline. It drifted into it, while nothing stopped the drift. That is what makes its lesson so unsettling. This is the hardest part of the lesson. The most important moments are often invisible while they are happening. The climax of Mars's final lesson is the realization that no rescue ever came because none was possible. By the time the danger was clear, the systems that could have responded were already gone. The ending was not tragic. It was complete. Mars teaches that survival is decided long before crisis arrives. Not at the moment of collapse, but at the moment recovery becomes impossible. Everything after that is just time catching up. The resolution of this story reaches beyond Mars itself. Protection is not dramatic. Renewal is not visible. But without them, endurance becomes illusion. Mars endured until it could no longer change, and then endurance meant nothing. Mars also teaches us that resilience is not something that can be rebuilt once it is gone. It is not a switch that can be flipped back on. It is a property that must be preserved continuously. Once the internal systems that enable response fail, no external force can substitute for them. Mars did not need more time. It needed functioning foundations. This lesson challenges how we measure success. We celebrate growth, expansion, and performance. Mars reminds us that these are meaningless if the systems that enable recovery are quietly eroding. A system can appear successful right up until it becomes irreversible. The final lesson Mars leaves behind is not about space. It is about systems. About how decline becomes destiny when correction disappears. About how quiet endings are the most dangerous because they feel survivable until they are not. Mars is finished teaching because it is finished changing. The responsibility now lies with those who can still choose differently.